Hey, what's up, guys? I want to talk about the Gators' latest scrimmage. Talk about Billy Napier's press conference. Got some notes, and I'm just going to go over with you guys. But yeah, so apparently the scrimmage went okay. I wouldn't say it was great. Obviously we're low on depth, and numbers are tight. I've got a lot of non-contact jerseys, a lot of injuries right now, but overall, I think the staff is pretty pleased. With some of the players and grasping the playbook. There's a lot of work to do, Billy Napier said. But all right, guys, let's just jump right into it. Said some of the guys have bought in so far to the program and get what to do, and there's still a handful of players that don't even know what to do out there on the football field, which I think is because of such a lack of reps on these underclassmen that are now seniors. Not really a glowing review of the scrimmage or the team as a whole. It seemed like a real pessimistic press conference, kind of a shot at the prior staff, in my opinion. Recruiting was atrocious. We all know the numbers were fake and inflated off of 4-star guys that were low-hanging fruit that no other teams were actually after recruiting. We had some guys get kicked off the team, arrested. So those things right there, those top 10 classes just were all fake. It was a facade, guys. And that's really starting to rear its ugly head now with these scrimmages and this spring practice. Sounds like Billy, it was kind of an indictment on the team. I think he's going to clean house. Sounds like he's actually going to run players off to me. And flip this roster before the fall. Sounds like he wants a good 7 to 10 guys out of the transfer portal, if that's possible. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think that's what he might want to do. I don't think he's really pleased with a lot of guys on this roster. There's a lot of tweeners, a lot of undersized guys that really don't belong anywhere, don't really identify anywhere. This last staff just tried to cross-train too many guys. With Grantham's defense, there was just too much of that going on, and guys haven't developed anywhere. Luckily, this staff is putting guys in a spot and keeping them there unless it's due to injury. So these guys are really getting to focus and honing on a skill and a trade. He admitted after the scrimmage Saturday, that we're a few years away, honestly, guys. He basically so being a few years away, I know that's not going to excite everybody, but I love the honesty of Billy Napier. The guy just, he's really a real person and speaks off the cuff. He's not sugarcoating anything, not a lot of coach speak, which I like. There is some coach speak, but this press conference, he did not sugarcoat it. I think he wants to set the tone and set the expectations with Gator Nation and let us know it's going to be a bumpy road his first year, and it's going to take a couple years to get this thing where we're on a championship level, and that's going to be through recruiting and development and getting guys that fit his system. Apparently, there was a lot of penalties in the scrimmage. I wouldn't say that's a shocker based on last year. This team was heavily penalized and undisciplined, and that's still showing up a little bit with these guys. He's only had them for several practices, and only been here since December. I think by fall, look for this year to be a big improvement on penalties. I think the penalties should be probably less than last year, but still a little higher, being a first-year coach, new system, a lot of changes, a lot of, probably language changes as far as what they're calling plays and just the, type of wording and all that they use. So a lot of penalties. Running back Montrell Johnson probably had his best practice. Big scrimmage, had a big hit in the red zone on a DB. Scored a touchdown, said he trucked the DB. Haven't heard much about him, so it's nice to hear he's coming along a little bit and developing. That's a three-headed attack in that running back room, guys. Again, I think running back is the strength of this team. I think this running game is going to be 60-40, especially in year one with our passing game being so bad and us lacking so bad at talent. Wide receiver, passing game is going to be inconsistent probably with AR unless he starts to hit some of these out routes and some of these more pro-level throws. I think the passing game is going to struggle a little bit. So, we're just going to be patient with that until Billy gets his guy who can spin it a little better. Touchdowns. Lorenzo Lingard and Dejon Reynolds had a touchdown. Lingard looked great again. I'd have to say Linger's probably the stud of that room so far. He's the #1 back. He's going to get a lot of touches this year. Again, so another strong scrimmage from Lorenzo Linger. Apparently, that's crazy good news, guys. The knee looks good. He's had a knee injury and struggled a lot with that. So his knee looks good. Only 1 fumble in the entire scrimmage, no interceptions, which is a little bit surprising to me. Hearing there's a lot of interceptions throughout the practices. So that's good. No turnovers. Like to hear that this early. There's a lot of turnovers last year, so that's something we're looking to improve on. Defensive back Jaden Hill, best day for him so far this spring. Made a lot of plays all over the field. He was supposed to be a starter last year, guys. I told y'all, I think going forward he is going to be the #2 guy, possibly the #3 rotational guy at one of those corner spots. Offensive line looking really good in the scrimmage. Running game is definitely going to be our strength next year and our bread and butter. Then we're just going to have to build the passing game off of that. A little bit of a basketball note here, guys. Golden's showing he can recruit. The Gators land Belmont transfer Richard. He commits to the Gators. He's 6'5", 190 pounds, averages 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.2 steals per game. He was the number 19 ranked transfer in the transfer portal for the NCAA basketball. This kid's really talented. I think he was all-conference freshman. So a good pickup for the Florida Gators. Another guy visiting is Alex Fudge, big-time basketball player from LSU. Looking for the Gators to pick him up, so that's going to be real exciting, so look for that. AR played well. Has had some hot spots that he likes to focus on the field. Like I said, he kind of stares down his receiver. So still a work in progress with AR. I'd hope he'd be a little further ahead right now with Mullen being, apparent quarterback whisperer. But he's got to work on his out routes. His timing's off still. He is still an NFL caliber player, and we're not even factoring in his legs into the running game with him. He's best on his dig routes, curls, and slants. That's what the sources are saying. Middle of the offensive line is looking the best. The tackles are probably the weaker spots, but I've heard the offensive line as a whole is still above average and still looking really good. Offensive line is getting the better of the defensive line, which I don't think really says much anyways, because defensive tackle is a weak spot on this team, probably the weakest spot. We've literally got one legit defensive tackle on this team, and that's Jervon Dexter. Behind him, all those guys were complete busts. Lamar Goods, Jalen Lee, Jalen Humphreys, who's been MIA for years. So, that's disappointing. That's another part of the transfer portal, I think, after the spring. Look for Billy to be, kicking the tires on that transfer portal, y'all. I think we're going to be looking a whole lot different come fall camp, guys. Running game, I'm making a prediction now. I think this is going to be the best running game at Florida since Mike Gillislee and those guys, Fred Taylor, guys like that, has been not good. This might be comparable to the Rainey Demps years. I'm dead serious when I say that. I really am considering making that type of prediction, that bold take, that I think we are going to excel and be that good, have over 1,000-yard rusher in year one. Tackling from the sources is better. Apparently tackling's gotten a little bit better. Some of the old habits of missed tackles are still lingering, coming around. Said Derek Wingo and Scooby Williams looked okay. They said that they are probably going to be the anchors of this defense this year. So that's actually really cool to hear that, y'all, because they were MIA last year. There was no Wingo. When he was on the field, if you listen to Gator Nation, they said Wingo looked lost, looked terrible, just did not know where he was at on the field. Scooby Williams we haven't seen much of, but a lot of potential there. He did get some snaps in the last couple of games and looked pretty good. So I definitely think Derek Wingo is going to be a good player. Looks a whole lot bigger this year than he has in the past. Really put on some size. He's going to be one of those thumpers next to Ventrell Miller. Piegler, tight end coach, basically said depth was an issue again with tight ends. There's about 25 to 30 plays that this team hasn't even been able to run due to just pure depth issues, which is really sad. These guys are getting probably overworked. They've had to hold guys back a lot, and really cut back on the workload because they're afraid of injuring more guys, and they're that thin that if there's a few more injuries on this team, we wouldn't be able to fill the squad, guys. That's how bad things are on the depth. Wide receiver room, Napier's press conference basically said there's only a handful of guys that are consistent players. He said the entire team lacks depth. That took me back a little when he said that. That was a little scary. This is scary, guys. This is coming from Napier. Napier says in the transfer portal he is going to be looking for players at every position, but two that he mainly pointed out was safety, which is really a shocker to probably all of us, especially me. Linebacker, not really shocking, but a little bit hearing the reports out of fall camp. That's why I said don't trust these media sources when they come out with their stuff. But he says linebacker. I'm going to say it right now. That's because there's too many tweeners. Scooby Williams, undersized. Derek Wingo has been undersized in the past. DeJuan Black, undersized. That all goes back to Mullins recruiting. It was all fake. And these injuries are just really hurting the team. Looking for a mass exodus after spring of current players and an influx of transfers. And it's going to be one of those things where Billy said we're just going to take the best players available. We need anybody at every position. The positions that I think we need to focus on the most is still defensive tackle and wide receiver, another offensive lineman or two, and then, according to Napier, linebacker and safety. So that's all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to go over the scrimmage, just kind of go over what I've heard and what I've read online. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later this week.